Corey Thorne with the East Point Fire Department, bringing to you today the first episode of the Chiefs Roundtable, where we'll be discussing during this roundtable. We'll have different topics throughout the upcoming months. We plan on introducing a lot of things that go on in the fire service. Just opening it up to give everybody in Facebook or social media opportunity to see what it's like and to hear it from a command staff point of view. So I'll let everybody introduce themselves.
Timothy Evans, I am the EMS Training Chief, City of East Point. Been here 27 years, worked myself up through the ranks.
Chief Charles Kendrick, Battalion Chief, been here for 33 plus years, almost 34 in April. Worked myself up through the ranks.
And once again, I'm Chief Corey Thorne, been here 26 years. Like most of these guys, born and raised here in East Point, worked myself up through the ranks to where I am now.
I'm Chief Marcus Anderson, Technical Services Officer. I've been in the fire service for right at 35 years, and I've touched every rank in the fire service as well.
William Tate, Deputy Chief of Operations, and I've been with the city for 21 years.
And what we're gonna do, basically just have dialogue and conversation, get a little feedback, just to open up the insight into the fire service. A lot of times, I haven't seen a program like this before, so it's an idea that I wanted to try to start to see if we could run with it. And it's just gonna open up a little dialogue on how the fire service is, how it was 30 years ago, which you see all the experience here, versus the way it is now. And because there's a lot of change that has occurred. So, and I'll start it off. For me, myself, I came on in 1995. So when I joined the fire department in 1995, it was 15 of us in my group. And out of the 15 in 1995, we currently have 3. So we have 3 people left in our group. And that's due to people being terminated, some people realizing that this is not a job, but it's a career, but they didn't see it like that. So people left to go to other ventures and see what they could do, and some of them stayed and went to other departments. But for the most part, the fire service, it is a career. It's career-based. It's to the point where people don't, and you all tell me what you think. I just see the fire service as a career versus a job. Anybody can come in and work a job, but a career is when you have 33 years, 21 years, 34 years, 27 years. That's when you have a career, the longevity, I'll be here to the end, I plan on retiring, versus coming in 5 years and switching, going to another profession. You never have an opportunity to save up or even move up to the ranks to expand your knowledge base. If anybody wants to speak on that.
Well, I guess I'll jump in there. I want to say, coming on in 1987, it was much different for me. I was the only African American on my shift, so it was a little different. And I got in fire service coming from the military, and I just wanted to work. I didn't know much about the fire service at all, but I fell in love with the fire service, and I think back then, Chief Anderson attributed this because of our time in '87 coming on. We didn't train much for public, so we didn't talk about safety and fire and how to stop fire and keep them from occurring. So we fought way more fire then as opposed to now. So the fire trucks are coming down, which is what we want to do. But when you talk about go-getters, I was like, I'm not sure about this, but that first fire took me there. I knew then I wanted to do this. And so that was why I stayed in fire service. And going back to coming on in '87 and being the only African American on my shift, that was a little different because at that point in time, I think African American were really coming into the fire service. So it wasn't as big for us coming in. And it was a little different. It was people who treated me not so good, but it was some great guys. And I can talk about the rapers and it just, I don't want to start naming because if I start, I'll be just going way past what I should be going. But it was some really great people. I love fire service, and in particular, I love East Point, as I am, like Chief Thorne stated, from the city of East Point. So this is something that I'll take with me to my dying day. So I just thank you to East Point. East Point is everything to me.
And just,
Aaron, Chief Kent, I would like for you, since this is, you know, a new thing, you mentioned the rapers. Could you elaborate on that a little bit, please?
Yeah, it's his name.
Well, let me, yeah, thank you. So for Chief Jared Raper, well, at that time I think it was Captain Raper, I don't know if he ever made chief. His son later came on. But he was such a nice guy, man. The Chip Posse and I, we were young kids, right? So we're out here, he's the guy, right? He's in charge. He cooked everything, all his food was always, it's gonna be biscuits, it's gonna be something change. Only thing gonna change is the meat gonna change. The sides were gonna be the same, they were always the same. He would change the meat, he was the cook for us. But he was such a tremendous guy, man. We were interacting with Chip and the rest of the shift that we had, the personnel. He would let us jump off this sounds bad, but we would be standing on the desk in the training room, in the, what was it back then, the watch room, thank you. And we dropped elbows on him, he just laughed, man. He was the coolest guy, the nicest guy, but we still got everything done. And so that's kind of sort of where the Raper come from. So Jerry Raper, tremendous guy. So you want to get into that?
Well, I figured, you know, like I said, I came on in 1994, 27 years. It was, you talked about your class. We were the class called ourselves 22 strong, 22 of us. I'm in the same boat you are. There's 3 of us left today. So you figure 22 people, 27 years ago, only 3 of us are here that made it the career that you're talking about. The fire service was a lot different, even, you know, 27 years ago, it was a lot different than it is today, no different than it was different 10 years ago. I came on the department, we talk about diversity and things, there were no women in the fire service at the time. I think the city of East Point, I believe it was 95
when I
came on, that was the first group. So I was a part of the fire service that went from no females to females. That was a huge change for the fire service here in East Point. Matter of fact, we had a few people then that, a couple of lieutenants, a couple of old heads that quit because they refused to work in the same firehouse as a female firefighter. So, you know, we can all speak of the changes that happened, but that was probably the biggest one in my career that I saw was women coming into the service.
I was a part of that class. That was 95. That was Chief Running Few. He brought that class on. Like I said, it was 15 of us, and I think we hired, it was 8 males and 7 females. And matter of fact, one of those females, Chief Washington, she's now the chief of Decatur. She's been there for I think 11 or 12 years. When she came on, she was in my recruit class. So I mean, the fire service for all of us has been great. It's totally been great. And just speaking on the fire service and the community, one of the things, Chief was born and raised in East Point, I was born and raised in East Point, and Chief Kendrick was born and raised in East Point. So just at this table alone, you have 3 people from the area that still works here and still gives back to this area. What we're trying to do now, the fire service it's always been community oriented, but what we're trying to do now is be a community oriented and a community based department. It's just always been my belief that in order to be a good department, especially in the city, for the city, you have to have a deep-rooted sense of having a vested interest in the community. If you don't have a vested interest in the community, how can you serve and protect the community? So from that aspect, what we try to do now is look for a fit to see if you're good. Anybody can score good on an exam, but do you fit? Do you have the capacity to actually love and care for the people that you're taking care of? So that's a East Point thing. The people in East Point are a whole lot different than any other place. Here, once you're accepted in the East Point family, everybody see you. When you go on calls, they'll come up running to you, hugging on you. They remember you, especially if you treat them nice. And it just giving back to those same people that loved you for years and helped raise you. You know, when they used to see you on the street, call your mama, tell on you, whatever it is, just to give back to that community it's just astounding. And the fire service is several changes. We're getting younger. Matter of fact, our department now, I think we got more than half of the department is under 30. I mean, we have a young up and coming department, and there's certain things that we have to put in place as leaders to actually affect what their future will be.
So, you know, I'm not from East Point, but I grew up a lot in East Point. I got a lot of relatives from East Point area. As a matter of fact, my grandmother, up until the time she passed, owned the home right on Hendricks. I remember as a kid coming over here a lot. Hendricks is now West Thorn here. I have a lot of relatives in East Point. And as a matter of fact, when I came on the fire service, I lived in East Point, down on the Low Drive. My career is similar to Chief Kendrick's. I came to the fire service a year before he did. We had a class of 24, and I am the only one that's still here. As a matter of fact, one person from my class is Chief Joel Baker. He left here, he ended up being the fire chief for the city of Atlanta, and now he's the fire chief for San Antonio, city of San Antonio, Texas. So, but everybody else, either they went to other departments or they found something else to do. So the same thing, either they resigned or they were fired. And that happens a lot in the fire service, you know. It's easy to be a firefighter, it really is. And you can do a lot of things and not get fired. But if you get fired in the fire service, you probably did something pretty bad. So, but in my class, when I came on, diversity was an issue. My class of 24 was hired because the community was upset about not seeing any African American firefighters when people came to their home. So when I was hired, the fire chief hired 12 and 12 black firefighters and 12 white firefighters. The department at that time was 125, 130 people. And of those 125, 30 prior to my class, maybe about 6 of them were African American. Because we still didn't have any females, we had one Hispanic firefighter, Sandra Ramirez, but then didn't have any else. So diversity wasn't really strong during that period. There were no African American firefighters or even Hispanic that were officers. The highest ranked firefighter at that time for African American and Hispanic was sergeants. And one of those sergeants was Ronnie Few, who later on ended up being the fire chief of the department. So, just kind of give you an idea, when I came into the fire service, we were still riding on the side of the trucks. We were still hanging off the trucks. That's got to be one of the most idiotic things that you could do. But we thought it was fun. Hanging off the side of the trucks and wearing day boots. Day boots are just boots that come all the way up to your thighs. So you have your bucket coat on when you go on fire, and you have your day boots on. So that's what we sweat in. So that kind of give you an idea how the fire service has changed. Like Chief Kendrick said, there was no fire education, no fire prevention. Fire service motto was, we fight fires. I remember when EMS started to get kind of big in fire service, and that was the reason that you won't see too many departments that have ambulances, because the fire chiefs always said, we don't do no EMS, we fight fires. So that was the ground floor. So that's why you have a lot of private ambulances that are around now, because they pretty much run the show, and fire departments can't get those licenses because they didn't get in on the ground floor. So that's kind of where we are from the fire service.
And see, that's a big time hit for fire departments all across the state of Georgia, because you have private ambulance services that are not regulated or governed by the fire department, servicing the citizens that the fire department serves. Every member of the East Point Fire Department has to be an EMT or a paramedic. Now, we don't have a private provider's license. We wasn't in that when it came about back in the early 70s. So fire chiefs all over didn't take advantage of it in the state of Georgia. So therefore, that's lost revenue. So now, in the fire department, the times, like Chief Anderson said, it's such a change. You went from fighting fire with no SCBA on, breathing toxic gases, till you retire. 5 years later, you're dead. So the fire service became reactive instead of proactive. They instituted wearing SCBAs. So now when you go in a fire, you got on a harness with a face mask so that you won't have to breathe toxic air. But that's a change that occurred due to so many people losing their lives. So at some point, the fire department has to be more proactive than reactive, because it's a lot of things that can change in the fire service, but we, as a collective body, have to make that change.
My career, it began in 1999, right before the turn of the century, and like Chief Thornton just said, as far as being proactive, the biggest thing that I've noticed that has changed over time is when I started, everything seemed like it was more mechanical based when it came to technology, and we were on that cusp to transitioning into this digital era. When you think about the technology now, we have things like thermal imaging camera. I was taught, search along the wall, you're blinded basically. And now we have cameras that can see through dark. I mean, even cell phones weren't mainstream then. People had them, but now they're common everyday practices. There's drones out there, just all kind of technology. Everything's on computers. So for me, that was the biggest change for me over the last 21 years that I can think of.
What you wanna do with a lot of the situations, each one of us have different experiences that we've experienced in the fire service. And in doing that, we've all, with the years that we told you about collectively, we've all been able to maintain different personalities, everything is different about us outside of, some of us was born and raised in East Point, some of us were not. But we came together for a common cause, whether somebody put us here. We were afforded an opportunity. We took advantage of that opportunity, and taking advantage of that opportunity, we were able to carve out a successful career for each one of us. And I know soon even all the challenges that we had, we all spoke about different things that we had to overcome. But I know for me, one of my biggest challenges was heights. I was terrified of heights. And still to this day, I am. And you could ask, well, how could you be a firefighter and be scared of heights? If somebody is trapped in a building, I will go up there and get them and bring them down. But if it's an option and I don't have to, I'm not trying to. I am still terrified of heights. That ladder that we have is 100 feet. It's a 100-foot area ladder. The closer you get to the top, it sways. So you'll find yourself rocking with the wind. So with all the challenges we had to overcome, everybody had a challenge or challenges that they had to overcome. Some people have challenges where we work a 24-hour on 48 hours off. So for 24 hours, you're away from your family. Once you get here, you can't leave. So that's a challenge for some people. But you have to decide, is this the career for you? And you will accept that challenge, and you'll succeed, be successful in it. And then you can move up the rank and possibly come into administration where you're not spending the night at the station. You're on an 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. So with all the challenges that come, once you surpass them, it's success, or the grass, it truly is green on the other side. It just depends on you as a person and what you're willing to do. But we just wanted to bring this to you right now to just open up dialogue from chief officers. Everyone at this table here is a chief officer in the fire service. And we just wanted to open up dialogue so that you can see the fire service from our perspective or point of view. And also we wanted to give an understanding of how to get in the fire service, what you can expect out of the fire service. And those are episodes that'll be coming soon. We're gonna try to put something out monthly where we can do a roundtable discussion. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, maybe you can hit us up on Facebook, call us, or even give us some ideas of subjects that you want to hear us talk about. And
Chief, I'd like to make one quick mention since this, I'm not sure when you'll have this posted, but, we probably need to let everybody know that might see this and doesn't know, we are currently accepting applications.
Yes.
For position of firefighter in the city of East Point. We're looking for anybody. If you have no certifications, if you just maybe thought that this would be a job that you would like to become a part of, we will hire you, we will start you from nothing, and when you get finished, you'll be a certified firefighter and advanced level EMT. We're also looking for anybody that's certified that maybe would like to come to East Point and be with us. So if you've got your certifications as an EMT, certifications as a firefighter, we're taking them all, so applications are open. I'm thinking we'll probably keep them open for about another month.
Yeah, we'll keep it up another month. Well, thank you very much and look forward to seeing you soon.